Something incredible happened on that court, and not just for the Indiana Fever, for the entire league. The New York Liberty, reigning champions and WNBA darlings, came in with swagger and left with their egos bruised, and the person responsible for flipping the script, none other than Caitlin Clark. It wasn't just the final score, though. The Fever's 102-88 demolition of New York was shocking enough. What really lit the basketball world on fire was what happened after the game. Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart, two of the most respected voices in the league, walked up to the post-game mic after a 14-point loss. And instead of offering the usual recycled excuses, they gave Caitlin Clark the ultimate gift: unfiltered, raw, public respect. Sabrina didn't sidestep the issue. She didn't point fingers. She didn't act like a frustrated veteran. She stood there and admitted flat out that Caitlin Clark was the real deal. "We gave her too many easy looks," she said, and she wasn't wrong. Clark had gone full nuclear, hitting 3 logo range threes in a 38-second stretch that looked more like a Steph Curry mixtape than a rookie WNBA game. There was no tension, no hidden sarcasm. Sabrina wasn't bitter, she looked impressed. "She's got great range and gets her shot off so quick," she said, adding that she was personally happy to see Clark back on the floor after her injury. That's not something you say about a player you think is all hype. That's the kind of thing you say about someone you know you'll be seeing in playoff battles for years to come. Now, let's be clear, this wasn't just Caitlin being pretty good or holding her own. This was domination. She put up 32 points, dished out 7 assists, and took complete control of the pace and rhythm. With Clark back in the lineup, Indiana looked like an entirely different team: faster, more confident, lethal from deep. She didn't just return, she detonated. But the real power of the moment wasn't just what Clark did, it was how her opponents responded to it. Stewart, a 2-time MVP and one of the most decorated players in the game, didn't sugarcoat it either. She didn't lash out or nitpick. She acknowledged that the Fever were better. Point blank. "They executed better, we didn't guard, and they made us pay," Stewart said, and then came the moment that said it all. Clark hit a logo 3 right in Stewart's face, and instead of frustration, Stewie smiled. Not a fake grin, a real, "damn, that was cold" kind of smile. That's not defeat, that's admiration. That's greatness recognizing greatness. Defensive breakdowns? Sure, but they weren't because New York forgot how to play defense. They were because Caitlin Clark broke the system. When you've got someone who can pull up from 35 feet like it's a layup, it bends every defensive principle. Stewie admitted as much. They couldn't keep up with Clark's gravitational pull, and the Liberty paid the price, and it wasn't just the starters who got exposed. Indiana's entire rotation benefited from the space Clark created. Her presence made shooters out of role players. Her vision turned stagnant possessions into highlight reel plays. That's not just a scorer, that's an ecosystem. Even Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello didn't make excuses. She didn't hide behind officiating complaints or fatigue. They made it hard. They were physical. They had a great plan. She said, "When a championship coach tips their hat like that, that's not just respect, it's concession." Statistically, it was a bloodbath. The Fever shot 17 of 29 from deep, dropped 53 points in the first half, and turned New York's supposedly elite defense into Swiss cheese. And it wasn't luck. It was execution. It was strategy. It was Caitlin Clark doing what Caitlin Clark does. What Sabrina and Stewart said afterward wasn't lip service, it was the kind of respect that only gets earned in battle. "She's the best basketball player in the world," one fan posted online after the game. "She's the difference maker." And honestly, it's getting harder to argue with that. Even the fans felt it. "I'm Fever all day," one wrote, but New York showed class tonight. The tone around Clark is shifting from rookie curiosity to generational phenomenon. She's not just leading a team, she's shifting the culture. Breanna Stewart went deeper than most realized when she said, "We need to take more pride in our defense." That wasn't just a throwaway line. That was a moment of introspection, a subtle but powerful admission that Caitlin Clark didn't just beat them, she made them question who they are. The Liberty came into this game expecting to dominate. Instead, they left the court rattled. And the craziest part, it wasn't even Clark's most efficient game. But it didn't matter. She dictated everything. From pace to spacing, from shot selection to ball movement, this was her symphony. And the Fever? They looked reborn. The same squad that struggled without Clark suddenly resembled a finals contender. Not because they got hot, because they had their leader back. Because Clark returned and made everyone around her better. You could hear it in Sabrina's voice. This wasn't just another L. It was a wake-up call. The Liberty, for all their talent and pedigree, got outplayed in every department. Every adjustment they tried, Clark had a counter. Every run they attempted, Clark stopped cold, and when Clark wasn't scoring, she was setting up teammates for wide-open looks. Her 7 assists didn't just pad the stat sheet, they gutted the Liberty. Every time they thought they had her contained, she'd flick a pass across the court that led to 3 more points. This wasn't just a performance. It was a moment, a turning point, the kind of game you remember when you look back at the season and say, that's when everything changed. Because let's face it, this wasn't about luck or momentum. This was about control. Caitlin Clark didn't just shoot the lights out. She walked into the Liberty's house, took the remote, changed the channel, and dared them to stop her. They couldn't. Even Stewart admitted that their offense never found rhythm. Why? Because when you're busy trying to contain a flamethrower from 35 feet out, your half-court sets fall apart. That's not strategy failure. That's Caitlin Clark turning your system into chaos. There was no hiding, no dodging, no pretending. It didn't happen. The Liberty owned the loss. Sabrina and Stewie stood tall, answered every question, and gave Clark the flowers she deserved. That's not just class, that's courage. That's what real leaders do. And that's what makes this game so pivotal. For the first time in a long time, the league's elite publicly recognized a new threat, not just with words, but with emotion, with honesty, with the kind of respect that only comes from a hard-earned loss. When even your fiercest rivals are smiling after you torch them from the logo, you've entered a different category. Caitlin Clark isn't chasing the league anymore, she's shaping it. So yeah, maybe it was just one game on the schedule, but if you're paying attention, it felt like the start of something way bigger. This wasn't a fluke, this was a warning. Caitlin Clark is here, and the whole league just got the memo. And let's not pretend the hype around Caitlin Clark was ever quiet, but this performance was something different. It wasn't just about filling up the box score, it was about completely dismantling a team that's supposed to represent the gold standard. This wasn't a feel-good comeback story. This was Clark walking into a heavyweight matchup and walking out looking like the pound-for-pound best. Her control of the game went beyond stats. She controlled tempo, spacing, decision-making. Everything ran through her. And what's wild is how effortless she made it all look. That's not just greatness, that's generational talent realizing itself in real time. What makes Clark's rise even more surreal is how quickly she's earned the respect of WNBA royalty. Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart are not casual names, they're Olympians, MVPs, the faces of franchises. For them to publicly acknowledge Clark's dominance speaks volumes. You don't get that kind of praise unless you force it out of people, unless you make it undeniable. The way Sabrina talked about Clark's lightning-fast release and Stewart reflected on defensive miscommunications, it was like they weren't just reacting to a great performance, they were witnessing a shift in the balance of power. Even fans who had been skeptical couldn't deny what they saw. Social media lit up not just with praise but with awe. Fever fans, Liberty fans, even neutral viewers were all saying the same thing: this girl is different. One moment she's hitting threes from another zip code, the next she's threading a bounce pass through 3 defenders for a layup. She doesn't just play the game, she bends it to her will. And the best part, she does it without any ego. No chest pounding, no drama, just that quiet, intense fire in her eyes that says, "I'm built for this." The post-game presser also revealed something deeper. This isn't just about basketball, it's about legacy. Stewart and Ionescu didn't just take an L, they handed the baton. Not in surrender, but in respect. They know this league isn't just growing, it's evolving. And Caitlin Clark is at the center of that evolution. When players who've seen it all, who've won it all, take the time to applaud a rookie with that